What I'm about to say is not easy to hear. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It may make you want to argue, click away, or tell yourself, this old guy is exaggerating. And if you hate that uncomfortable feeling, stop right now. I mean it. Don't keep listening. But if you've made it to this far, then stay until the end. Because what I say at the end of this video will make you realize something everyone knows, but everyone pretends not to know. And that pretending is quietly stealing your life day by day. My name is Frank. I'm 79. And I'm saying this because I don't have enough time left to make it nice. I'm going to start with a sentence you probably won't like. You don't lose your life in one big disaster. You lose it in the little things you say every day. It's fine. Tomorrow. In a minute. I'm busy. Don't make a big deal out of it. Those are polite words, responsible words, adult words. But they can also be the words that kill love, family, and real living quietly. I know, because I've lived long enough to watch it happen inside my own home. And now I'm going to tell you why. Right now, in my bedroom, there's a small wooden box on the lowest shelf, taped shut, with 2 words written on top, "Don't open." I wrote that, I taped it, and I've kept it for almost 30 years. Inside are 3 things: an old pager, dead and silent, a thin yellowed note with just 7 words on it, and my wedding ring. You might be thinking, okay, old keepsakes. No. If it were just nostalgia, I wouldn't have written, "Don't open." If it were just junk, I wouldn't be afraid of it. I'm afraid because those 3 things are proof of a truth people lie to you about. Not caring isn't peace. Most of the time, it's numbness with a nicer name. And when you're numb, you don't hurt, but you also stop truly living. I grew up in a family where men were taught one simple rule: don't be weak, don't be a burden, don't make a scene. If you're in pain, tough it out. If you're sad, stop being dramatic. If you need to speak from your heart, keep it to yourself. The kind of man everyone praised was the man who could shut his feelings off like a switch. So I became that man. I worked, I climbed, I earned, I became reliable. People called me calm, stable, unbothered, and I thought that meant I was mature until I got married. My wife's name is Ellen. She wasn't loud, she wasn't demanding, she didn't fight dirty, but she had this habit. When something mattered, she spoke softly, like she was trying not to break something fragile. On our first night as a married couple, Ellen said, "I don't need a big house, Frank. I don't need you to get rich. I just need you to not disappear." I smiled. I held her. I said, "I promise." And I believed that promise would be easy. You know the hardest promise to keep? Not "I love you." It's "I'll show up," because showing up isn't one decision. It's thousands. And I started failing in the smallest ways. When I was 32, work began swallowing me whole. One night I came home close to 1 a.m. The house was dark. Ellen had fallen asleep on the couch with her coat still on. On the table was a cold plate of food and a small note. 6 words. "Can you come home early tomorrow?" Here's the scary part. I read it, and I didn't feel pain. I felt normal. I even thought, yeah, tomorrow. The next morning I forgot, not because I was cruel, because I trained myself to believe tomorrow was unlimited. And this is where people start lying to themselves. You don't call it not caring. You call it responsibility. You call it providing. You call it doing it for the family. But from the perspective of the person waiting at home, it's absence over and over with no end date. and repeated absence teaches people one lesson: stop expecting. Not too uncomfortable yet? Give it a minute. The first real disaster hit when I was 38. My father went into the hospital. Not a dramatic accident, the slow kind. The kind where everyone says he's stable and you think, I'll go after this week. My sister called, Frank, Dad is really weak. Can you come today? I was buried in deadlines, meetings, contracts, things I thought I couldn't drop. So I said, I'll go tomorrow. I'm stuck today. She went quiet for a few seconds, then said, Can you please come today? I'm scared. I got irritated because she was pulling me out of my routine, and I said the stupidest sentence I've ever spoken. Tomorrow is fine. He'll be there. The next morning I was brushing my teeth when my phone rang. My sister was crying. Frank, Dad's gone. I froze. My toothbrush fell into the sink. Toothpaste foam slid down the porcelain like a cruel joke. Do you know what scared me most? Not the grief. The moment I realized I'd been busy for so long that my father's death arrived like an event, not like a bond being cut, like a notification. That night Ellen asked, Are you okay? And I chose the easiest sentence, the one every man knows. I'm fine. I said, I'm fine, and thought it made me strong. What I actually did was far more dangerous. I shut the door on my emotions so I wouldn't have to change my life. After the funeral, I worked even harder because if I stopped moving, I'd have to feel, and I didn't know how to feel anymore. Then came the second disaster, the one that leads directly to that dead pager in the box. When I was 41, I worked with a guy named Mark. Mark wasn't close with anyone, always polite, always fine, the kind of person you'd never suspect was carrying anything heavy. One Thursday night, the office was nearly empty. Mark stood in my doorway and said, Frank, do you have a minute? I need to talk. I was staring at my screen. An email wasn't sent. A deadline was on my neck. I didn't fully look up. I said, Not tonight. Tomorrow. Mark nodded. Okay. He walked away. 2 days later, Mark didn't come in. No calls back, no answers. And then we got the news. I won't describe it. I don't need to. You know what it means when someone says, they found him. I sat alone in my office staring at his empty chair. And what made my blood run cold wasn't just that Mark was gone. It was the memory of his eyes in my doorway. He wasn't begging. He wasn't dramatic. He was just tired, like he was holding onto a rope and he needed someone to grab the other end for 10 minutes. And I cut that rope with one word, tomorrow. People said, you couldn't have known. They're right. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need to know the whole story to give someone 10 minutes. Caring doesn't require certainty. Caring requires presence. And I wasn't present. After that, a sentence started looping in my head. What if that was the last time? I heard it for a few weeks. Then I got busy again. And life, like it was watching me, sent the third disaster. The one that created the box. When I was 50, my company gave me a pager. Back then, a pager was a symbol. If you had a pager, you were important. You were needed. You weren't allowed to disappear. And I liked it. I'm not proud of that. But it's true. I liked feeling valuable. Ellen hated that pager. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She just sighed every time it went beep. One night, Ellen set dinner on the table and said, "Can you just eat with me for 15 minutes?" I looked at the pager, the phone, the clock, and I said, "I'm on call. You understand?" Ellen stared at me for a long time. Then she said softly, so softly it scared me. Yeah, I understand. Do you know when I understand is terrifying? When it's no longer empathy, it's surrender. That night the pager beeped. I stood up. Ellen asked, "Are you really leaving?" And I answered with my favorite sentence, "It's fine." She didn't stop me. She turned toward the sink and started cleaning like a machine. I left. And if I had stayed, this story would not exist. Now listen closely, because this is where the not caring lie turns into consequences. Around 11:30 p.m., my pager beeped. Not the company code, a strange number, and 2 words, "Call home." I looked at it. I hesitated for 2 seconds. Then I told myself, Ellen probably needs something small. This is what numbness does. It automatically minimizes the signal. So I ignored it. The pager beeped again. "Call home." I sighed. I got irritated at being interrupted. I didn't call. Then about 20 minutes later, it beeped a 3rd time. 2 words, "Please." I froze. And here's the part you might hate me for. I still thought, in a minute. I always had, in a minute. I didn't call. I got home around 1:15 a.m. The house was dark. The front door wasn't locked. I walked in and said, "Ellen?" No answer. I went into the kitchen. There was a note on the table. Not come home early, a rushed sentence. 7 words, the exact note I kept in that box for decades. I need you. Don't make it tomorrow. My hand started shaking. I called her. No answer. I ran to the backyard. Nothing. I called the neighbors. Nothing. I called the hospital. Nothing. I called the police. Around 3 a.m., my phone rang. Ellen had been taken to the ER after a minor car accident. Not life-threatening, but the detail that broke me was what the nurse said. When the ambulance arrived, Ellen said, "Please call my husband, but don't blame him. He's busy. Do you understand that?" Even in fear, she protected me, and I couldn't even call her back because I didn't want to be bothered. Ellen lived, but something else died that night, quietly. No one heard it. Her expectation that she could rely on me. After the accident, Ellen recovered. From the outside, we looked normal. No divorce, no scandal, no dramatic breakup. But inside the house, something changed. Ellen stopped asking me to come home early. Not because she didn't need me, because she learned she couldn't depend on me. Do you know how people leave you? Not always with a fight. Sometimes they leave you by quietly stopping their expectations, stopping the reminders, stopping the requests, stopping the waiting. One night I came home and found Ellen sitting at the kitchen table doing nothing. I asked, "What's wrong?" She said, "Nothing." That word sounded like a locked door. I leaned in to hug her. She flinched. Just a little. Not hatred. Not anger. Reflex. I got defensive. I said, "What was that? Are you mad at me?" Ellen looked at me for a long time and said, "I'm not mad. I'm just used to it." Used to it. 2 words that end something without a fight. They mean the lock has been changing for years and you didn't notice. I tried to fix it in the way I knew how. I bought gifts. I worked harder. I made it up with money. But I never did the simplest, most important thing. I didn't sit down and actually show up. Then at 63, I collapsed in an elevator from a warning heart attack. I woke up in the hospital. Antiseptic air. Machines beeping. Ellen sat beside me and didn't cry. She said, "I'm not afraid you'll die. I'm afraid you'll live and still not be here." And I finally understood. That pager didn't make me important. It just helped me be absent with an excuse. I promised I'd change, and I did, for a while. Then I slipped, because society rewards not caring. You're cold. They call you strong. You're silent. They call you mature. You're busy. They call you responsible. No one rewards you for listening to your wife for 15 minutes, but that's what saves a life. Now we're at the end, the part I told you to stay for. I'm 79, and Ellen is getting older. Her memory flickers sometimes like a light bulb that's about to go out. Some days she looks around the kitchen and asks, "Where are we?" Some days she calls me sir, and the cruelest part is this: when you finally want to make up for lost time, time starts taking away the other person's ability to receive it. That's why I opened the box. Inside were those three things: the pager, the 7-word note, and the wedding ring. And standing there, I realized the truth everyone avoids. Not caring doesn't give you peace. It just helps you avoid discomfort. And the price of avoiding discomfort is enormous, because if you avoid discomfort long enough, you avoid intimacy. You avoid connection. You avoid the conversations that save a marriage. You avoid the moments you can never buy back. And then you tell yourself proudly, "I'm not affected." No, you are. It's just happening slowly enough that you don't notice until it's too late. Now here's the practical part, the part you can use tonight. You need to learn 2 kinds of not caring. Don't care about what isn't worth your soul. Noise, opinions, social media drama, people you'll never see again. Never become indifferent to what matters: your family, your health, the people who love you, the people who are quietly asking for you. My mistake was this: I spent all my care outside the house and brought numbness home. So here are 5 things you can do starting tonight. 1, the 3 circles rule. Circle 1, your real people: partner, kids, parents, 2 or 3 closest friends. Circle 2, important but not intimate: co-workers, extended family. Circle 3, strangers and noise. Give your best to circle 1. Be decent to circle 2. Stop living for circle 3. 2, the 3-minute care habit. Every day choose one person in circle 1, look them in the eyes, ask one real question, and listen without fixing. 3 minutes a day prevents used to it. 3, retire the phrase "it's fine" when someone is sinking. Instead, try, "I'm here. Tell me more. What do you need from me?" 4, don't say tomorrow to things you can't repeat. Emails can wait. Meetings can wait. But some calls, visits, apologies, sometimes they don't get a second chance. 5, put love on your calendar. Feelings loose to schedules. Call your parents. Sunday, 7:30 p.m. 1 phone-free dinner. Wednesday, 1 walk together. Saturday morning. And here's the final sentence I want you to remember. You don't need to care more. You need to care in the right places at the right time, because at the right time sometimes comes only once. So tonight, do one thing. Pick someone in circle 1. Call them, and don't ask, "How are you?" like a greeting. Ask it like it might be the last time you get to. Then listen like it matters, because it does.